Hey guys, MetalJesus here, and time for another Patreon question. This one comes from Solid Sonic TH, and they ask, what are your thoughts on game industry drama, and are there game developers or publishers you don't like? EA and Activision have big targets on their back, but does that matter to you? So to help me answer this, I've assembled a bunch of awesome creators, and we are going to start with Derek from Stop Skeletons from Fighting.
Yeah, EA and Activision definitely make it easy, but I kind of look at they have a target on their back. They're kind of like the industry whipping boys. But like, hey, Nintendo does a lot of anti-consumer stuff too. I think a lot of these gigantic companies, they are not your friends, and you can dunk on EA. But then when you're still out there buying, a new Call of Duty game, it's like, well, none of these gigantic corporations are your friends. They all do anti-consumer stuff. Look at what people gave Nintendo a big pass for a while. I feel like that's starting to shift a little.
Especially with the Mario.
Oh yeah,
stuff.
the Mario stuff that just happened. We're shooting this year. March 2021 was a crazy month for Mario. What's up with that, Nintendo? NES Mini, stuff like that. I think people gave Nintendo a pass for a while, but that's kind of starting to shift a little. I don't know that I dislike any over the other. I feel like they're all very anti-consumer. None of these people are really your friends. So when people just dunk on Activision or EA or Ubisoft, I'm like, it's like when you don't like one company, it's like you probably should not like any of them.
I mean, none of them are your friends, but also, we didn't come here to make friends, did we?
Yeah, I can't come here to make friends. I came here to play video games.
Came here to stop skeletons from fighting confessional.
Yeah. I came here to buy loot boxes and not gamble on FIFA.
Drama in the gaming industry, we either love it or we absolutely hate it. Here's my take. When No Man's Sky came out, it was pretty clear that Hello Games, in particular Sean Murray, had completely lied about what we were getting in No Man's Sky, as did Todd Howard for Fallout 76. However, I think that everybody deserves a second chance. I don't think we should embrace the drama. I think we should just take every day as it comes, or rather take every game update as it comes. And No Man's Sky have completely redeemed themselves. Hello Games have done a sterling job, and I do think that the drama is unwarranted. I think all of the harshness and criticism on Twitter it's a little bit too much. I think we should be motivating the devs, motivating the publishers to do the best they can for us as gamers. Now, as far as EA and Activision goes, again, I take every game as it comes. I think EA have learnt their lesson from the ridiculous microtransactions back in the Star Wars Battlefront 2 era, and I'd like to think that they've learnt the lesson and we can carry on moving forward. At the end of the day, there's a game out there for everybody, and I just kind of embrace whatever happens and try not to get involved in the drama.
I don't care much about company optics. I mean, that doesn't mean I agree with everything they say or like everything that they do, but hey, if there's a solid game that I want, I'm going to get it. I don't care.
Yes, there's always going to be a lot of gaming drama out there. It's not hard to find it. But I would like to posit a more positive thesis here, which is that we're in a real renaissance era for gaming. And that renaissance is coming from independent developers who have a pathway now to sustainability through platforms like the Nintendo Switch eShop and Steam. And I will say that these indie developers have taken more of my money over the last 5 or 6 years than the big developers have, because I'm seeing more creativity and more new concepts coming from the independent developer world. And I love the fact that there's a two-way communication path for us gamers to tell these developers how to make their games even better. And there's no better example than No Man's Sky for a game that started with drama that is now regarded as one of the best indie titles out there. And that's what this era is all about. And we've got more exciting stuff on the way with virtual reality. I'm seeing so much creativity going on there, so many new experiments with gameplay. And what I love about VR is that every time I try a new game, it is something totally new and different. It reminds me a lot of what it was like having an Atari 2600 as a kid, where every one of those games was new, different, and inventive. So I think we're in a really positive time, and I think if we focus more on that, we're going to find a lot more to be excited about.
EA and Activision having big targets on their backs it's something they'll live with for the billions of dollars that they make. And it's hard to say. a game developer or publisher you don't like, because I mean, we could have a terrible game come out and then they can completely redeem themselves with the next release, or you could have EA and Activision have so many developers under them that they could release something really annoying like FIFA Ultimate Team, but then later on release something awesome like Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2. I will say there are some companies that I'm kind of disappointed in right now, like Sega, for example. They can't seem to make Sonic work at all, specifically in 3D, and they have a hard time figuring out how to distribute Atlus's games correctly. Like they have Persona 4 Golden go to Steam, and they're shocked that it topped the Steam sales charts. Like, really?
So for me, new games coming out where they're unfinished or almost unplayable is probably my biggest issue with, game publishers like CD Projekt Red and I guess EA to some degree. I was playing Jedi Fallen Order recently. I think that game's awesome. It's really fun to play, but I also waited like 2 years after it was released, to get the patches all done and have the best gameplay experience. So it really does bother me though when game companies release a game where it's so bad, where you're just like, this is so clearly rushed and pushed out before it's even done. And I'm sure the developers are all just like, extremely disappointed in the way that it's received as well. I've been playing PC games forever, old school PC games, and they would always get released with like game crashing bugs, and they would slowly drip out patches. This is like all through the 90s and stuff. And that was cool, but one thing that was kind of nice is that once a game was pressed on a disc like Saturn or PlayStation, you sort of assumed that it was done, that it was going to be playable and the best experience you could possibly have on the system. And nowadays, I think that with like DLC and loot boxes and all of these weird things that happen with game publishers just trying to like figure out how to, get every last cent from the consumer, that sucks, and I don't think it really serves us as a gaming community very well at all. But with that said, Jedi Fallen Order 2 years down the road is still fun, and that's kind of what I do. I have so many games in my backlog that I'll play old games that came out like 3-5 years ago, that are just now like I'm getting around to them. So anyway, other than that, that's the thing that kills it for me, for new game publishers.
Isn't it funny how everyone who says they don't have time for drama are the ones who post the most drama? Have you noticed that? Well, I try to avoid it, man. I got a full-time job. I've got my 3 kids. Man, I have enough stuff going on in my life to worry about someone else's drama, right? So I try to avoid all that. So when it comes to drama, including video game companies, I don't work for the game industry. So I don't know all the pressures and hardships that they're going through on the inside, right? But as far as video game companies, could this be the most perfect time for a helicopter to fly overhead? That's wonderful. Well, that brings me to the company I want to talk about is Konami. Certainly there's a video game, I'm trying to think of a Konami game that has a helicopter in it. Super Cobra, there you go, Super Cobra, that's a Konami game with a helicopter. I selfishly want Konami to come back to consoles because I know they're making a ton of money with mobile apps, with the pachinko and stuff like that, but we didn't get the next Silent Hill game that we weren't promised anything, but it was looking like it was going to happen, got our hopes up and everything, didn't come through. So if I had to choose one, just because I'm selfish, it's Konami. And Konami, it's not too late to come back, man. Or sell the assets and let someone else do it, or something. Man, so my pick goes to Konami if I had to choose one.
The Immortal John Hancock here, and here to share my thoughts about industry drama and devs and publishers I don't like. And so, honestly speaking, I try to avoid drama. There's so much drama out there. I try to avoid that. And I really try to specifically focus on an individual game to just appreciate what it's offering. And so, I know that EA and Activision are just a few game companies out there that, some people don't prefer the microtransactions or the sequel after sequel of Call of Duties. But, for me, I just look at an individual game. Is it fun? Do I like playing it? And, a good example is EA. EA, I know that a lot of people don't like some of the games that they've made. Star Wars Battlefront 2, or the Star Wars Battlefront series. A lot of people didn't like what they did with that franchise. But then, they did Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. And this was a fantastic game. and it was a single player experience. I really love this game. I beat it. I played through it. I really liked what they've done with this game, and I know that there's examples would be, a good example, No Man's Sky, by Hello Games. When this game came out, there was a ton of drama because, really Sony was trying to promote this game as a AAA title, and it really wasn't ready, and there was a lot of revisions and updates to this. They're still doing updates, and today's version of No Man's Sky is so much different than when it was released. And so I purchased it back in the day. I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I did. And, this game really has evolved into something amazing. So, while, there's a lot of story and drama sometimes out there thrown out for news, it's sometimes good to just avoid all that and to sift through and experience a game on your own. And that's what I recommend with these two fantastic picks. And, really, I don't have a specific company that I hate. And I just encourage people to just check a game and play it and judge it on its merit. And I hope this helps others.
Does gaming industry drama matter to us?
No.
As far as like developers and stuff go, I don't deal well with drama. I don't like drama in my life. I don't deal well with high maintenance people. And in this instance, like high maintenance game publishers, things like that, all I care about is the end product. I could give two cares about what's going on behind the scenes.
I think that's what it boils down to, is if the game is good. If the game's good, that's all that matters. Yeah. And there's a lot of terrible rated games that we love, or publishers that a lot of people hate that we... If the game's good, that's all that matters. Drama's dumb.
I don't think there's a developer or a publisher that we're just like, no, we will not buy games from them. So I think it's safe to say we just don't really care.
What's up, guys? Denver Gamer here, and I can't say that I'm much for industry drama. However, the second part of this question, are there any developers and publishers I dislike? I think dislike is a very strong word. I definitely have some that I've been disappointed in over the years, like EA, Konami, Telltale Games, Ubisoft with their microtransactions, or even Sega letting some of their IPs die. But nobody has made me feel as betrayed as recently, and that is CD Projekt Red. My family got me this special edition of the game, and it's now a $250 statue. So that is a big bummer, but hey, I'm holding out hope that maybe one day they'll fix it, but my expectations are not high. They went from a company that I completely trust to now completely distrust, unfortunately.
So when it comes to drama, obviously I'm not a big fan of it either. And primarily it's because, we're only really getting one side of the story when we hear as the public some of these things that come out in the press. We're not often hearing from the actual people, the employees down in the trenches that are making these things. And often those people have nothing to do with the business decisions that are being made higher up the food chain. Which reminds me actually about something that I probably should have mentioned on my channel before, but for whatever reason, it just slipped my mind. But this is the perfect video to kind of mention it. And that is my old boss, Ken Williams, who founded and was the CEO of Sierra Online, recently wrote a book all about drama that happened at his company. We're talking accounting scandals, we're talking about infighting within the board of directors, games that are being shipped or that were shipped that were buggy. So I wanted to mention his book, and by the way, this is not a sponsored video in any way. He didn't ask me to plug his book. It's just something that actually kind of makes sense to talk about and tell you guys about in this video. So he put out a book recently called Not All Fairy Tales Have Happy Endings: The Rise and Fall of Sierra Online as Told by the Ultimate Insider. And again, Ken Williams. And what's really interesting about this book is that you do get a very raw and honest view of what really happened at Sierra at the beginning, a lot of the drama that happened in the 80s and some of the pitfalls that they ran into, some of the layoffs that they incurred, and then the ultimate crash and burn of it at the end of the 90s. And what's interesting about this book is that Ken is not shy about his role in that process. He is very critical of himself and some of the decisions that were made by him and by management. And so if you're looking for that insider look, man, into one of the biggest game companies in the world just crashing and burning, this might be the book you might want to check out, because I found it incredibly fascinating. Like I said, not sponsored in any way, but I will put a link down in the video description below. And as I've said before in these group videos, I'm very thrilled and honored for all the people who agreed to help me make these videos. If you like the people in this video, please check out their content because they're all making really cool stuff. I'll also put links down to their stuff in the video description below. And as always, guys, I want to thank you for watching my channel. Thank you for subscribing, and take care.